Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Happy almost Thanksgiving.
I know, almost there. We were just talking about this. I feel like it snuck up on me a little bit.
It is, I feel like it was just Halloween a few days ago, and here we are a week out, less than a week out from Thanksgiving, which is just, yeah, it's
Hmm.
going too fast, right?
Yep, yep. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. I enjoy the things that come with Thanksgiving. What are you guys doing? You guys staying here? Staying home?
We are hosting a small Thanksgiving for my mother, and my wife's family.
Nice.
And my wife, Melissa, and I were both born on Thanksgiving. So,
That's
big
right.
holiday for us. We'll have birthday cake and pie.
Nice.
It's always kind of fun.
That's okay.
What do you do?
Historically, we are travelers on Thanksgiving. We usually head to the Midwest to see my wife's family, but this year is we're staying put. I have little kids, and they're almost vaccinated, but not
Almost.
quite. First
Almost.
shot, first shot down. So, staying at the home front, doing kind of a small gathering with just my immediate family and enjoying it.
Yeah, and so if you joined us, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? We had a little Team Turkey versus Team Tinsel,
Yep.
Thanksgiving versus Christmas debate.
Hmm.
And now we are back with you to talk about 4 things your parents need to hear, the Thanksgiving edition.
Yeah. Thanksgiving showing up here real quick as we were just talking. And, it is kind of a unique opportunity because a lot of families get together. And, if you got, long distance folks in your kind of circle, maybe a chance to see everybody but also maybe start talking about some other things too, right?
Yeah, I think this is a time of year for a lot of our clients. As estate planning lawyers, a lot of people are getting together, families are getting together, and they're having those important conversations about what the future will look like, and estate planning, wills, all that stuff that most people don't love to talk about. It's not exactly thrilling table side chatter, um, although it may be better than talking politics with your uncle, right?
I think so.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we have a lot of clients that ask us for some tips and tricks. How do we approach this with our parents or our children, our adult children? So we kind of put this together as a conversation to have you guys watch. If you have questions and you're watching live, feel free to ask any questions that you've got along the way. And let's get started with talking about how do you actually start that conversation?
Yeah. So, the conversation itself really important, but also like framing that conversation up and being prepared for it. In my opinion, that's equally important. So we came up with, I think, 3 things that'll kind of like guide you in the right path for this. And the first one is really that like timing matters, right?
Yeah.
Like you probably don't want to roll out a conversation about health and money right at the time where mom's cutting the turkey. That's probably not it, right?
No, you got to wait for dessert for this. This is you got a glass of port and a pumpkin pie, or a coffee and a pumpkin pie, and and it may not be, if you're having a big family get together, it may not be great to do with everybody, right? Like you want to find the timing to be right, preferably in person. I think these things work better in person.
Yeah.
That's kind of our first little tip, just to get started at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think
your spot, right?
Yeah, like you could do it during prep, if you've got an intimate little family gathering and you're preparing. But I think this is definitely like a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening conversation. But it's great time to do it because you never really have all the family together in one place, especially if you've got kids that are coming in from out of town. Kind of sets up nicely to have the whole family there for this type of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And the other, like another tip I would probably recommend is kind of leading with empathy, right? Just the idea that, if you found the right time to have the conversation, and that is important, but, letting them know that like you want to discuss this because you care, right? There's no hidden motives. You're not trying to figure out, who's going to inherit the, mom's favorite teapot. Really what you are trying to figure out is there a plan? And if there is, how can you help?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think that that's the right. We try to do all things with empathy first here, and I'm reminded of the platinum rule. You want to treat other people the way they want to be treated, right? So, especially with parents, this can be tricky. Adult parents, when you're an adult yourself, um, you want to come from a place where you're not just talking who's going to get your money or who's going to get to China or whatever the particular nitty gritty is. I think you want to approach it a little more generically and kind of figure out where your parents are about this topic first. Nobody loves talking about these things, right? Like there's I think besides you and me and the folks that do this for a living, it's not necessarily a topic that's number one on your list. So I think our third little tip was you want to go slow and just be patient, right? Nobody wants to think about the future when their health is failing.
Yeah.
It's scary. It could be really unsettling, right? So start broad, start generic, and take a slow pace. And I think that will get you where you need to be and at least further the conversation along for sure.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I'd throw in there is maybe the conversation doesn't have to happen in its full entirety right there, right? It could be the start of a conversation that, hey, mom, dad, I've been thinking about this. Let's have a bigger conversation. Here's some things I think we should probably talk about. And if it happens right there, great. And if it, at least you've kind of planted that seed.
Yeah. Yeah. You had a great quote that you shared with me the other day on this. You want to share it with everybody?
This is my JFK quote.
Yeah.
The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining.
Yeah.
That's great, right? I mean,
that hit home for me. I mean, we have so many families that come in when they're in crisis, right?
That's it.
They've avoided having these conversations when they could have, and they come to us in some kind of crisis mode. It's either a death in the family or someone's ill, someone's in a nursing home or hospital. And there's still things we could do to help, but it's crisis planning at that point. It's more expensive. It's more work. So I think that quote really saying to me in terms of the time to do this is when everything's okay.
Yeah, crisis mode's hard because you're dealing with the emotional weight of the crisis itself, whatever it is that happened. Right, there's baggage and mental power that you have to dedicate to that thing. But you're also trying to figure out the logistics of what even needs to happen next. And we help people through this every day. And it's honestly just making it harder than it really needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's for sure right on the money. There's it can be made so much easier doing it in advance. I think what we want to do is try to encourage people to create the situations where that becomes possible, right? So we think those are kind of our 3 tips to help get you started. Once you get started though, what are the walk us through what are the areas or topics that people want to be thinking about?
Yeah. So kind of knowing where you're trying to get to, right? Like most important part of the whole thing. And I think I would frame all of this in a way where when you talk to them the first time about this, you don't want to dive too deep, in my opinion. I think you want to phrase the question like, is there a plan for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And not asking about the specific plan, but does the plan exist? Have you thought about this? Have you kind of gone through this scenario in your head and you think this is what you want to happen?
Yep.
And there's a couple topics that I think are the important ones.
Yeah.
The first one is health, right? So mom, dad, if mom gets sick, if dad gets sick, who do you want to kind of be able to be empowered to make those kind of decisions about what the next step of care is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in our world, that's a term called a healthcare proxy.
Okay. Yep.
So, what else? What's another topic?
So the area number 2, and I usually present these as kind of like the 3 core pieces when I sit with any family. First is health, as you said. The second is finances. So really, is there a plan for who is going to make financial decisions like paying your bills, doing your taxes, if you're unable to do that for yourself. And this person or this document is what we call a power of attorney. So that's appointing someone in advance to make those decisions for you if you're unable to make them for yourself. So you got health, you got finances, and then the last kind of key area we'll call estate planning, which is, do you have a plan for how your assets will be distributed when you pass away? Commonly, we call this a last will and testament. Those are the three, when any client comes in and they ask about a will or any of these documents, we kind of package these three things together. That's the cornerstone of what we call estate planning. So a lot of people will say, I don't need estate planning. I don't have an estate, or they think that that's for, Jeff Bezos and the super wealthy. But the reality is all three of these areas have to be addressed for basically every adult that's walking around. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, the thing is, the rub here is, if you don't do it, well, the government has plans to implement this for you. You just may not like what the government decides, who's going to be in charge of this for you.
That's it, right? Like, somebody's going to do this. Like, when these times come, the process is going to happen. And it's kind of a decision of, like, do you want to be able to control how this works? Or do you just want to follow the rules that have kind of been laid out by the government?
Yeah. Yep.
So the other thing just to mention real quick is that all three of these are what we call like legal instruments, right? It's not enough to just say, hey, Johnny's going to help me when I get sick, or, Debbie's going to handle my finances. They have to be officially kind of appointed, for lack of a better term, right?
Yeah. They're legal documents. So not that you necessarily need a lawyer for each of them, but it is a common kind of package where we would do all three of those things with all the clients that come through here. And Lisa says that that's good to know. So thanks, Lisa. We appreciate the feedback. So you want to talk about our next little area here?
Yeah. Third step to talking about these four. We didn't even get to the four things yet. So we're leading up to number.
Classic lawyer move here. We're still in the introduction.
There it is. So the third step of this to prepare for this conversation is to get organized. And, there's a couple steps for me to this as I think about it. The first one is like, know kind of your own personal agenda. And it's kind of like laying out those goals. Here's what I want to know. And we kind of helped you through kind of what we think you should talk about. But there's more to it too. And I think that organization is an easy kind of way to start the conversation with your parents. Because you can ask them things like, hey, where is your birth certificate? Right. And that may start this like, oh, I need to get organized. I need to get all that stuff together. And it's really going to orient this conversation in the right direction, at least in my opinion. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah. I mean, I am a big proponent of organization, and I feel like, even if, especially for people who may struggle with kind of the tips and tricks that we've provided to this point, there are just some families out there where the parents refuse to address a lot of these topics.
Yep.
So for certain behavioral profiles, what we found is having an actual document where you sit down with your parents and say, all right, we're going to just fill this out together. This is what it looks like to be organized. Have you done all of these things? Mm-hmm. Or even giving it to the parent to fill out, we found that type of organization pays huge dividends in the long term. So with that in mind, we are, because we've done a lot of this, right?
Mm-hmm. We've
developed I think I'm going to share my screen at this point. So
sure. Yeah, let's do it.
We've developed a kind of a worksheet that will help you organize all of this in one place, called the Family Information Worksheet. The website is at the bottom of your screen, where you can download this completely free, right?
Yep.
I've got a physical copy. You can print it out. So if you like a physical copy, we will email you. You can print it out. Tell us a little bit about what it does.
I think it's just an opportunity to sit down with your parents and be like, all right, where are these kind of personal documents that we know they exist, right? We know you have a birth certificate. Do you know where it is? Where are your social security cards? What type of insurance do you have? Like, who's the carrier, whether it's homeowners or life or whatever type of insurance? It's basically a hope to make a reference guide so that in the event that something happens to one of them, there's this kind of map of all the important information that, we know that you're going to need, but you might not know that you need yet.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly summarizing this one pager. It is available now for free at www.themaronelawfirm.com/parents. So you can head there now and download the worksheet for free. Fill it out with them at their leisure. But it is, we've done this for years. We sit with families all the time in different stages of planning or crisis planning. And this is the key information that if I had this filled out, I could solve all the other problems from there. So if I have all this information or someone comes to me with this information completely filled out, I'll be able to do all of the things that the lawyer needs to do or that help the family to do in any circumstance that arrives.
Yep.
Without this information, or if it's scattered, not in one place, it's going to be more expensive and more time consuming to do the things that we need to do.
And it's going to be harder on the family members too.
Yeah. The kids for sure bear the brunt of that.
In my personal life, I lived through this a little bit with my grandmother who ended up having to go into a nursing home. Mm-hmm. And we started down the road for a Medicaid application. And we realized that we had no idea. Even some of the most basic things, like her middle initial, she always wrote as one thing, and it turns out it was not that thing. So we went on what I affectionately or not affectionately called the scavenger hunt from hell, trying to find all of these documents that are needed for the documentation. And it was hard, and it was really, really miserable. So if she had something like this, it would have solved the whole thing. And when we were making it, I had that exact moment in my head.
Yep. Yeah, I think from our perspective, we're starting at the end where we see what the problems are and we know what people, where the pain points are for people. And we've kind of worked backward to have the most important information. This isn't all of the information that you'd want to give to your family, but if you're not going to do anything else, I would do this one pager. It's completely free. Yep. And look, the upshot is if you sit down with your parents and show them this, and some of this information they don't have, like they tell you they don't have a power of attorney, mm-hmm. or they don't have a will, well, then that tees you up for a conversation about kind of moving forward and getting those things put in place.
It also becomes like a to-do list.
Yeah. So
now we got
to right. Are we done with our 18-minute introduction?
So what are the four things, right? That's
well, you want to do we do the four things, or do you want to do the giveaway? What do you want to do next?
Ooh, let's do a giveaway.
All right, yeah,
that sounds fun.
We have, as you may know, for those of you watching live or if you're watching the replay, we are giving away a KitchenAid stand mixer. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So Thanksgiving dinner coming up next week, we were thinking, what is a thing that you'd like to have? It would be nice to have, but not everybody would go out and necessarily buy on their own. And since we love to eat, we figured KitchenAid mixer is something we had not given away before.
Yeah, you may not have this model, but you have something similar to this.
Yeah, we have.
What was the last thing you made with the mixer?
I think some kind of cookies. I mean, me personally, I don't bake.
Yeah, same.
I do the cooking, and then I let the wife and kids and grandmas do the baking. But yeah, we love it. The kids love it. They make my oldest 10-year-old. He'll use it all the time to make cookies and various other pastries and pies. So without further ado, we had a bunch of people enter. So thanks to everybody for entering. There were some great, to enter, you had to list your favorite Thanksgiving recipe. So there's some really fun and interesting and unique recipes that we got. Yeah. All right. I'm going to share my screen and we'll spin the old wheel and all right, here we go. Spinny, spinny, spinny. Sydney Vault. Sydney Vault. Oh, I think we'll put that in the comments as well. Sydney Vault is our winner. You can make pasta with the KitchenAid. Yeah.
They're pretty great, honestly. Like, they're very.
You can grind meat with it and ice cream.
Hey, probably not at the same time. That might be.
No, you want to change the bowl or clean the bowl first. Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations.
Sydney Vault. So here's the link again for the one pager, theMaroneLawFirm.com/parents. And stick around. So we're going to go through the 4 things. Is that right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What's the first thing? Oh, is that me?
Sure.
Sure is. Hold on. Oh, gotta hide my comments here. The best gift to give your family as you get older is getting your affairs in order. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Right? And it's more than just being organized, I think. So organization is part of it. But there are studies that show that families have better emotional outcomes when the adult children are following a plan set in place by their parents, right?
Yep.
So rather than like I'm inventing my own plan and imposing it on my parents, you don't want that, right?
No, the kids don't want that. The parents don't want that. But if you do nothing, that's what you get.
That's what you get.
That's the scenarios. You're stuck being reactive and winging it. As I used to say when I was going through this, I would say I'm winging it and hoping for the best.
Yeah, we like to call it building the airplane while flying.
Yeah, very, very real.
Not a good thing. You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like you and I both have kids that are little. So do you let them, except on a very rare occasion, do you let them decide what you're going to do?
Please no.
God, no. Yeah, I might throw a yes day in.
Yeah, sure.
But not major, decisions that the parents are making. So why is it that as we get older, we throw that into our kids' laps just because they're 30 or 40?
Yep. We hear a lot. Well, the kids will figure it out. Like
hear that
they
a lot.
will, right? And they will because they have to.
And they will be miserable along the way.
And they are.
The one thing they all say, the people that were put in that position, the kids that were put in that position, they all say the same thing. Well, I want to come back and do planning so that I don't have to go through what I went through with my parents.
Yep.
Right? How do I avoid that?
Yep. How do I not put my kids through the same scenario that I just got imposed upon me? Yep.
So it can be a little messy and it's not super fun to think or talk about, but that is the best gift that you can give to your family as you get older. Being organized, estate planning, financial preparedness, healthcare decision-making, all those things we talked about, that is the best gift you can give them. Trips to Disney are fun. Taking the family to Disney is great. Great to have. Oh no. Bye. Goodbye. Stand by.
No problem.
It's like that old.
Looks like the test pattern from.
My camera gets very tired.
Appreciate that.
It's been a long 2 years here, so.
There he is.
Sorry. I think that's the camera telling me to go faster. So
yeah, could be.
Let's go to the second thing.
Number 2 is, and maybe we should tee up what these really are. Is these are angles for you, right, to approach them with. Right. So number 2 is, everybody thinks of estate planning as like, oh, it's how what happens to my stuff when I die and my kids get it. And it's kind of like whatever. But really another way to think about this, and honestly, the more common thing is that your parents need to realize that the first person that they're protecting is each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, every study that comes out shows us that 50 to 60% of everybody that's over the age of 50. So think about that. 50 to 60% of everybody over 50 is going to require some kind of long-term care during their lifetime. So if you are married, there is a high likelihood that one of you will require some kind of care. Now it can be that when I say long-term care, that's a broad term. It can mean something as simple as like an adult daycare center as you're older. I know that's weird to think about, but there's a lot of these what we call dayhab type programs, like PACE is one of them, all the way through like a nursing home type situation. And then a lot of things in between: independent living, assisted living, nursing care in your home. But 1 out of 2 Americans that are over the age of 50 will require that.
And, you know, realistically, having this plan allows, you know, there's a couple aspects to it. One is that there's an emotional part, right? You know, when your partner goes into, you know, this kind of situation, a lot of times we encounter the other, you know, the healthy parent who is lost. They just don't know. Like I've never paid the bills. I don't know how to do this. I don't, you know, I don't know where the checkbook is. And, you know, I think a lot of people have this kind of false idea of how the future plays out, which is that like everybody, you know, ages at the same rate, everybody gets sick at the same time, and then it all kind of happens simultaneously. And the reality is that's not how it works at all. A lot of times there's a healthy parent and a sick parent, and, you know, these plans that we're talking about protect each other first. It allows the healthy parent to kind of keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that we've had someone come in and one spouse is like in a nursing home or an assisted living facility, and the reality of having to pay for that causes, and not planning for it in advance, causes significant interruption to the health, what we call the healthy spouse, and their finances. So, you know, this is really first and foremost planning to protect each other as a couple, and then ultimately benefit your kids and your, you know, more remote family. But certainly if you're in a spousal or, you know, coupled situation, it's protecting each other first. All right. One of my personal favorites with my birthday coming up.
Wait, what's your favorite kind of cake, for the record?
Ooh, vanilla cake, vanilla frosting. Oh yeah, buttercream, not whipped though.
Oh yeah.
My wife likes the whipped, which I got to order her cake. Reminder.
Should probably make that a note. Write that down a little bit.
I'll watch the replay here, and then I'll get it. Yeah.
Smart.
Have your cake and eat it too. So this is really kind of, you protected each other if you're married, and now we're talking about protecting your inheritance so that it's there for your spouse, you know, no matter which one of you passes away first, to keep them comfortable and up to the same standard of living, but also ultimately to make sure that if you do need long-term care, that money will stay within your family. Your house, all the things that you've earned and saved will stay within your family and not be kind of grabbed by the government to pay for that care. We've had some pretty substantial rule changes this year going into effect next year in that arena with long-term care. So we're seeing a big rush pushing towards that type of planning before some of those new rules go into effect. So specifically, if you're worried about protecting your assets, your house, you know, your savings, your retirement, I encourage you to reach out to us or some lawyer and look into that now, because there are new rules that will go into effect next year. So timing is important here.
Yeah. And it, you know, just to complement that thought, long-term care is expensive.
Oh yeah.
Like crazy expensive, right? Like drain your life savings away in months expensive.
$17,000 a month for a nursing home right now in Syracuse. That's, as they say, a lot of scarol.
Yes. So the reality is, if there's not a plan for how to deal with that cost over a long term, it's going to get real hairy real quick.
Yep. I've seen people, before they come to us and know that there's an alternative, I've seen people deplete their entire life savings, sell the house, spend all the money, and not knowing that there was an alternative way to protect things. So you hate to see that. That's why we do things like this, educational. Even if you're not going to come see us and you just go see your own attorney, obviously we want you to come see us, but just having the plan in place and doing the right things to protect your assets is going to protect you, your family, and everything that you've worked your whole life to save.
Yep. So fourth thing. We made it, by the way. Fourth thing.
We made it.
Organize it all.
Use our little
this is our point from earlier, but it's real. It's a very easy way to start the conversation. Print out our free worksheet, bring it to your parents, be like, hey, let's do this. Let's figure out where all this stuff is. And if there's gaps, then at least you know what you need to do.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it is kind of an occupational hazard for us, right? This is what we do, is we're organizers and planners. So it's easy for us to say, but not planning or not having a plan and not following it is by far more expensive and painful than it is to just have the plan in place. And it's kind of, I always say to people, the analogy I use, again, it all comes back to food, right? So
Of course.
the analogy I use is like those old infomercials, the Ronco food dehydrator. Do you remember those from when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Ronco Peel. And the tagline from that infomercial, which I used to watch every Saturday when cartoons ended, was set it and forget it. And this is kind of like what we like to do with some of our estate planning. We don't completely forget it, but the client gets to forget it, right? You do it once, you set the plan in place. I'll periodically bother you to check it and make sure it's updated. But this is not a thing that you need to be constantly fretting about or worrying about. We have you come in, we do it once, we set it, and you get to forget it. I don't forget it, but you get to forget it. And that's our show.
We did it.
31 minutes, not bad.
That's not bad.
We got 30 minutes. Thanks to everybody that came in to the show. And if you're watching on Encore, and we've also put this on the MaroneLawFirm.com/parents website. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, I'm going to post our contact information in a minute. Once again, congratulations to Sydney Vault, who won our Thanksgiving giveaway.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. That's really all we had for you this snowy, it's now snowing, Friday afternoon here in Syracuse.
Yeah. But thanks so much for joining us. We do, being real, we do this all day long. We help people through these conversations. If you feel like you're particularly stuck and just like, I don't know, my dad's not going to be open to this, shoot us an email. I'm sure we can come up with a way that we can help you out and kind of get you to the place where you need to be.
Excellent. All righty. Couldn't have said it better. So,
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.